There is a secret, a golden thread woven through time, so simple, so gentle, yet so powerful it could bend the stars to your command and set your whole world ablaze with fulfillment. It is not struggle, it is not toil, it is not some complex ritual passed through hidden chambers. It is the whisper of joy assumed, a phrase so potent it shakes the heavens awake. Isn't it wonderful? Just those words, that feeling, that sacred phrase, repeated in silence, not to ask, but to assume. I have used this to change lives, to summon the impossible, to walk into futures I did not chase, but magnetized, and now so shall you. Isn't it wonderful? Say it, feel it, let it rise from within, not as a question, but as a statement of divine reality, a proclamation from the soul that what you seek has already arrived. Isn't it wonderful? The debt is paid, the body is healed, the door has opened, the dream is yours. Not will it happen, not please let it be, but a joyful, knowing celebration in advance. The mind may argue, but the law does not respond to doubt. It responds to feeling, and feeling is the secret. When I first discovered this, I was astounded by its simplicity. A woman once came to me, desperate for change. Everything around her spoke of loss, financial ruin, emotional pain, closed doors. And I told her nothing of action, no steps, no tactics, only this. Every night, before you sleep, breathe deeply and repeat, "Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful?" With no image, no specific outcome, just the feeling of something marvelous having already occurred. And within days, a friend she hadn't spoken to in years called her, invited her into an opportunity that changed her entire life, not because of effort, but because she assumed joy before she saw results. This is the axis of power, when you feel what you would feel if it were already done. Do not ask for it. Do not question the method. Feel it now. When I say, "Isn't it wonderful?" I do not need to explain what is wonderful. My soul already knows. The subconscious, being without judgment, hears only the music of your vibration, and when you sing in joy, your world becomes joyful. When you rest in peace, your life reflects peace. This is not poetic. This is law. Men of action built railroads and bridges, but men of vision built nations and legacies. Carnegie, Ford, Edison, they did not see failure. They saw the thing before it came. They assumed its presence. They lived in the end. This phrase, "Isn't it wonderful?" is the essence of living in the end. It is not passive, it is creative. It's the mental equivalent of standing in the house you imagined for years, touching its walls, smelling its wood, and saying with a smile, "Isn't it wonderful?" Even when you're still in a rented room, because you know the house already exists in consciousness. And what exists in consciousness must appear in the world of shadow and shape. This is how I created things others thought mad. This is how I brought money, love, opportunity, not with begging, but with gratitude for what I already held in imagination. It was never about hoping. It was never about earning. It was about being. And "isn't it wonderful" is the language of being. You do not say it to get. You say it because in feeling you already have. This distinction is the key to manifestation with speed, because nothing delays your miracle more than the neediness of asking. But joy. Joy has no need. Joy is the signature of faith fulfilled. Say it again. Say it now. Isn't it wonderful? Say it softly. Say it with a breath. Let your soul lean back into it. You don't even need to picture the outcome. Let the power of the phrase carry its own weight. It is the carrier wave of miracles, because when you say it sincerely, you're signaling the subconscious mind that something marvelous has already occurred. And the subconscious, obedient as it is, must bring the outer world into harmony with that inner assumption. Do you understand? You don't have to imagine how it happens. You don't need to plan every step. That's the realm of the old self, the striving self, the limited self. You are the infinite I am. You don't chase. You declare, you don't struggle, you accept, and the moment you say, "Isn't it wonderful?" with a heart wide open to mystery, you begin to collapse time. The delay dissolves, the middle disappears, and the end, the result, is summoned forth. Because your joy is evidence that you've already received. There is a moment when the mind grows still, when the noise of the world falls away like dust from a robe, and in that silence you feel the soft drum of your true identity beating beneath it all. I am not a beggar, I am not a seeker, I am the Creator clothed in flesh. And I remember now what I had forgotten, that everything I feel becomes. And when I feel the emotion of wonder, I have already stepped beyond time. I've walked past the gatekeepers. I've entered the room where futures are written. And all I say, standing in that sacred space, is, "Isn't it wonderful?" I let the joy rise before the fact. I let the gratitude blossom before the form. I feel the miracle before it takes shape. And that feeling, that vibration, becomes the very mold the world pours itself into. You do not need to instruct the universe. You do not need to ask when or how. You need only assume the joy. Because the subconscious, your eternal servant, does not question, it obeys. And when you feed it the feeling of wonder, it responds not with philosophy, but with manifestation. That's why I've said before, dare to believe in the reality of your assumption and watch the world play its part relative to your fulfillment. When you truly believe, when you dare to believe, you will see people move like chess pieces. You will see circumstances turn like pages in a book, not because you move them with force, but because your state commanded them. Every state is a doorway, and "isn't it wonderful" is a golden key. You need not understand what's behind the door. You need only enter. This is the posture of the one who manifests with speed, not tensed with doubt, but relaxed in knowing. The one who feels good before there's a reason. The one who smiles before the world changes. The one who laughs softly in the dark because they remember the light already exists. That's the man who walks into wealth. That's the woman who meets her love. That's the artist whose vision comes to life. Because they're not waiting for signs. They've already received the thing in feeling, and the feeling is more real than fact. If I tell you the sky will open for you, will you believe me? If I say your desire is already here, will you dare to feel it as such? Because this is the truth. Your life moves at the speed of your acceptance, not your talent, not your labor, not your waiting, your acceptance. And the phrase, "Isn't it wonderful?" is not wishful thinking. It is acceptance cloaked in joy. It is the silent agreement with a future that has already arrived. It is the divine signature of one who knows the law, who walks in rhythm with the invisible, who no longer hopes for good things, but welcomes them like old friends. And yes, at first, your mind may rebel. It will say, "But I don't see the money, but I don't have the home, but the healing hasn't come." And that is precisely when you say it louder within, "Isn't it wonderful?" Not to deceive yourself, but to anchor yourself in the only truth that matters. Your feeling creates your world, not logic, not memory, not circumstance, feeling. And when your feeling aligns with joy, with gratitude, with the silent awe of "it is done," the world cannot help but reflect that vibration. This is not theory, this is law. I have watched the sick walk again. I have seen the poor find wealth in days. I have watched those cast aside be lifted high, not by favor of man, but by the law of assumption. And always, always, the doorway was the same, a shift in feeling, not a change in facts, a change in state. The state of gratitude before results, the state of peace before resolution, the state of wonder before manifestation. Say it again like a prayer, like a soft flame in the center of your chest. Isn't it wonderful? Let it ring without condition. Let it echo through your bones. Let it be the atmosphere of your sleep, the background music of your day. You are not reciting a charm, you are announcing your alignment. And when the alignment is true, the shift is inevitable. Yes, we press forward, Because once you've touched the sacred fire, once you've felt the warmth of "Isn't it wonderful?" burn through your inner man like oil through a lamp, you must learn how to stay lit, how to carry that flame when the cold winds of doubt try to blow it out. You see, the world will test your new state, not because it is cruel, but because it is loyal to your prior assumption. And when you shift, truly shift, you must persist, even when the evidence hasn't arrived yet. This is what separates the dreamer from the master, the hopeful from the divine, the one who waits from the one who creates. The moment you begin to feel the joy, the moment you anchor in the assumption, you must guard it like sacred treasure. When bills arrive, isn't it wonderful? When silence lingers, isn't it wonderful? When doors appear shut, isn't it wonderful? Not to ignore reality, but to reshape it through your faith, because your outer world is nothing but a lagging mirror, a shadow echoing yesterday's thoughts. But now your thoughts have changed, your state has changed, and so the world must follow, but only if you remain, only if you hold your shape, only if you trust the feeling more than the facts. When I speak of remaining in the state, I do not mean forcing joy. I do not mean pretending to be happy when you're not. I mean this: returning again and again to the inner sanctuary of certainty, to the invisible realm where it already is done. You may drift, you may forget, but the master remembers, not once, but daily, until the assumption becomes second nature, until it is more real than reality itself. And then a miracle happens. You no longer try to feel the joy becomes you. You no longer recite the phrase as a technique. You breathe it like air. Isn't it wonderful becomes your atmosphere, your default, your dwelling place. And when you dwell in a state, you are no longer visiting. You have moved in. You've set your name upon the door, and life recognizes you as such. There will be moments when the old world knocks. It will come in the form of delay, of memory, of people speaking limitation. But you will not waver. You will not retreat. You will hear the voice of yesterday and answer it with a smile. Isn't it wonderful? Because you are not in conversation with facts. You are in communion with truth, and truth is eternal. Truth is that your assumption creates reality, not the other way around. Truth is that you are not becoming, you already are. And now your job is to remain faithful to the self you've chosen to be. I've said before, a change of feeling is a change of destiny. And destiny is not something written in stars, but carved into the present moment by the hand of your own imagination. So when you choose joy, you have changed the shape of tomorrow. When you choose wonder, you have already redirected the rivers of your fate. And when you say, "Isn't it wonderful?" with conviction, the universe bows to your inner decree. Do you see now? This is not about tricking the mind. This is about reordering reality from the inside out. This is about taking your rightful seat on the throne of consciousness, because you are not here to survive this world. You are here to command it. And command is not about force. It is about assumption in silence, assumption in joy, assumption in stillness. The one who knows does not shout. They simply live as if the thing were already theirs and let the world rearrange in response. This is the holy dance. This is the final shift. You are not manifesting through doing. You are manifesting through being. You are not waiting on signs. You are becoming the sign. You are not chasing the desire. You are dwelling in its fulfillment. And from that state, the thing you want comes quickly because you no longer need it. You already have it in the only place that matters, consciousness. Because now you are ready to remember what you once knew before the noise of the world began. You are not here to wish. You are not here to beg. You are not even here to become. You are here to return to the truth of what you already are, the one through whom all things move, the one who needs nothing, for within them is everything. The Master does not chase outcomes. The Master embodies identity. And this is where the real power of "Isn't it wonderful?" lives, not just as a feeling, but as a reflection of who you now are. You see, a man who says, "Isn't it wonderful?" with a heart full of doubt is just rehearsing. but the man who says it because it is his natural expression, the echo of his inner conviction, the melody of his unchanging self-concept, that man is God in motion. He does not look around to see what's possible. He declares what is. He does not wait for things to get better. He lives as if it is already so, and so it becomes. So I ask you now, who are you when no one is watching? What identity do you wear when the lights are out and the doubts try to whisper? Are you the one still hoping it might work, still checking for evidence, still asking, when will it happen? Or are you the one who has already received, who already knows, who walks through the day like royalty cloaked in invisible splendor? That is the one who creates. That is the one who bends time. That is the one who manifests with speed. Identity is not a choice you make once. It is a home you choose to live in. And each time you return to, isn't it wonderful? You are walking through the front door again. You are hanging the crown back on your head. Because isn't it wonderful is not just a phrase. It is the song of the chosen self. The one who is no longer trying to become wealthy, but has already assumed the state of wealth. The one who is no longer asking for love, but already feels loved, already is love. The one who is not looking to be healed, but has claimed healing and moved on. This identity is not arrogance, it is not delusion, it is the most sacred act of faith. It is stepping into the unseen and saying with calm authority, this is who I am now, this is what I accept, this is my natural state, and isn't it wonderful? You will notice in time that the more you dwell in the feeling, the less you think about how, the less urgency you carry, the less resistance you feel. You stop checking the mirror. You stop digging up the seed because you know it's already done. And from that knowing, from that rooted identity, everything begins to bloom. People appear, opportunities arise, doors open, not because you kicked them down, but because you no longer needed them to. You became the door. You became the opportunity. You became the one to whom the universe always says, yes, this is the new self, the one you were born to remember, not the frightened child of circumstance, but the divine architect of reality. And when this version of you says, isn't it wonderful? The phrase becomes a command, not a wish. It becomes the signal to the universe that all is now aligned, all is now fulfilled, all is now well. Not tomorrow, not one day, now. So what do you choose today? To go back to the old self, the one who doubts, waits, asks, checks, or to stand in the fire of assumption, to speak only from the end, to act only from the fullness of your claim? If it is the latter, then say it again, not as a ritual, not to get something, but as a natural breath from your soul. Isn't it wonderful? Feel it, believe it, let it fill the room. That's it. That's the act, that's the shift, that's the beginning and the end of creation itself. There comes a time when the inner declaration is so strong, so anchored, so deeply alive in the marrow of your being, that reality itself has no choice but to comply. Because you are no longer hoping, you are no longer wavering, you are no longer speaking from lack, you are now resting in fulfillment. You have become still, but not passive, still like the mountain, still like the ocean at dawn, still like God after he said, let there be light, and knew it was good. And when you say, isn't it wonderful? From this stillness you do not whisper, you announce, you do not request, you command, because now you know you are not separate from the power that creates worlds. You are that power, wearing the disguise of flesh for a little while. You see now why it's so simple, not because the technique is weak, but because truth is always simple. The mind makes it complicated. The world tells you to strive, to earn, to suffer, to wait. But the law whispers only one thing, as within, so without. And so, when within you say, isn't it wonderful, with sincerity, with joy, with quiet certainty, the outer must reshape to match it. It has no will of its own. It cannot resist you, because you are not in the world. The world is in you. And so the shift is not about changing anything out there. It never was. It's about assuming the state of the one for whom the thing is already done. And when that assumption becomes natural, when it is no longer a technique but a way of being, your world begins to move with supernatural speed. Because nothing is faster than identity. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. And the one who is fulfilled no longer reaches forward. They simply look around, smile at the evidence still catching up, and say, "Isn't it wonderful?" So I leave you with this, not as a farewell, but as a coronation. Tonight, when the world grows quiet, lie still, close your eyes, let your breath slow, and without needing to know how, without grasping for detail or image, say in your heart of hearts, "Isn't it wonderful?" Let the phrase rise like incense from your chest. Let it echo across the silence. Let it become the pulse of your being, not to get, but because you've already received. You're not asking for the blessing, you are the blessing. And from that state, that holy recognition of completion, all things rush toward you, not slowly, not in time, but now. You are no longer the version of you who waits. You are no longer the version of you who wonders if it's working. You are no longer rehearsing. You have become. You have returned, you have remembered, and now you rule from within. And every morning you wake, every night you rest, the phrase will carry you. Isn't it wonderful? Yes, it is. It always was. And now it is done. There is nothing left to seek, only something to claim. The law is not bound by time. It is not swayed by odds, nor distracted by what appears. It listens only to the heart that has decided. And when you say, "Isn't it wonderful?" as the final voice in the room, you are making that decision. You are silencing the mind. You are silencing the world. You are silencing all that came before. And in its place, you are planting a new reality. One forged not by effort, but by awareness, by assumption, by surrender, by the still soft power of joy. Now the old self, the one who doubted, who waited, who feared, has faded into myth. They are no longer you. You are not waiting for a sign. You are the sign. You are not looking for a miracle. You are the miracle. You are not seeking permission. You are the authority. The kingdom of heaven is not coming. It has arrived. And it arrived the moment you felt it as real. Take this technique not as a method, but as your nature now. Let it live in your chest like fire. Let it guide your steps like a compass. Let it be your answer when the world speaks limitation. Let it echo in your heart like a sacred drumbeat. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? And with every beat, watch your reality bend toward joy. Watch the shadows flee. Watch the impossible bow, because you no longer create from hope. You create from certainty, and that certainty, that assumption, is your inheritance. So walk now, not as the one who studies the law, but as the one who embodies it. Walk not in hesitation, but in majesty. Let your eyes see differently now. Let your speech reflect the finished work. Let your inner world be so saturated with wonder that the outer world scrambles to keep pace. And when it finally arrives, when the money, the love, the healing, the success, the very thing you once dreamed of, knocks at your door, dressed in physical form, you will not be surprised. You will only smile and say, "Of course, isn't it wonderful?" And so it is, not one day, not in time. Now it is done. It is done. It is done. Yes, we carry it all the way through, until every last echo becomes stillness, until the chamber of your mind is cleared, and all that remains is truth. You are no longer standing at the gate. You are seated upon the throne, and the world, that quiet, obedient servant, awaits your next decree. But there is nothing more to demand, because you've remembered the only secret that matters. The feeling is the fact. The world you longed for was always inside you. The thing you desired was only waiting for your assumption. The miracle you chased was merely a reflection of your readiness to feel it as already done. This is the great paradox. The less you need it, the faster it comes. Why? Because the moment you feel you need, you declare yourself separate from the thing. But when you feel it as already yours, when you walk and breathe and speak from the fullness of its possession, it must appear. Not by magic, not by luck, but by law. This is why I have said, the moment you feel the desire as real, you have already received it. It is not the world that must change first. It is you. And once you do, the world scrambles to align with your vibration, your inner truth, your chosen identity, because the world is not your ruler. It is your mirror. It reflects only what you believe, what you feel, what you dwell in. And now you dwell in wonder. So now, every night, as you lie down to sleep, do not rehearse your worries. Do not revisit your doubts. Do not beg the world to give you more. Instead, let your final thought be, "Isn't it wonderful?" And drift into sleep with that vibration soaked into your subconscious mind. That is the sacred time, the moment when your outer senses fade and your inner world becomes the source. Feel it then. Let it bloom like a sunrise in your chest. Say it not to get something, but because it's already here. And by morning, you will wake, not in the same world, but in a new dimension of your own creation. You are no longer who you were. You are no longer looking for a path. You are the path. So speak as one who has already received. Walk as one who has already arrived. Live as one for whom the world rearranges itself in harmony. Not because you're trying harder, but because you're feeling differently. And when you pass others on your journey, those still searching, still doubting, still lost in delay, do not preach to them. Do not convince them. Just smile softly and let the world see what a soul in alignment looks like. And if they ask your secret, tell them only this: I just assumed the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and I let my heart whisper, "Isn't it wonderful?" Now you walk with light in your footsteps. Now you breathe with power behind your words. Now you are chosen because you chose yourself. And so we finish where we began, but from a higher place, from a deeper knowing. Say it now. Let it roll from your tongue like sunlight through an open window. Isn't it wonderful? Yes, beloved soul. It is. It always was. And now it always will be. And so, with breath steady and spirit full, you rise, not as one who waits, but as one who knows, not as one who reaches, but as one who receives. And in every quiet moment that follows, when the world asks who you are and what you believe, you need not explain, you need not prove. Just smile gently, and let your heart whisper the only truth that matters. Isn't it wonderful? Yes, it is, now and forever. It is done.